time, there is a chat or question and answer section. So as we're going through this presentation, if you want to go ahead and ask a question, we will be answering those questions at the very end of the webinar. So if I go ahead and put it in there, and then Lori's going to go ahead and compile those chats, those questions, and we can go ahead and address those at the end of the webinar.
Anytime you want to start.
Okay. All right, welcome everybody. Thank you so much for showing up for Surge Day here at Lakeshore Advantage. I'm here to talk a little bit about leveling up your marketing game using ChatGPT for entrepreneurs to help you get out in the market, to validate your ideas, and get your business off the ground. Okay. Go back. There we go. So what is this seminar all about? Okay, we're here to learn about marketing funnels, right? Everybody in the same room to learn about marketing funnels? Absolutely, I'll take the crunching as a yes. Okay, so we're here about learning about marketing funnels. We're also here to learn how to leverage AI to help create these marketing funnels easier and more effectively. And then we're going to also talk about how you can get started today. So once again, I'm going to show you, and by the end of this webinar, you'll be able to create your own funnel in as little as an hour. I'm going to give you those tools to go ahead and do that. Okay. Sound good to you? Awesome, awesome. So we kind of all heard about this kind of stuff. Has anybody heard of ChatGPT yet? Anybody? Yeah, absolutely. Everybody's kind of heard about this. This is kind of what we're talking about right now, is how to use these AI tools to go ahead and create a business or the power that it has to create content. But before we get into that, I'm going to kind of talk about a little bit about context about sales funnels or marketing funnels, and also ChatGPT, just from an entrepreneur standpoint. So I'm going to start off with some questions and answers I usually get right around entrepreneurship, especially around marketing funnels. The first one is that people a lot of times think that if they don't have a business yet, maybe they're coming to a support network like this one and doesn't have an idea yet or think about creating a business, they want to know, should I even have a marketing funnel? And of course, my opinion is always yes. Why do you want to do that? Why do you want to tap into your customers? Is because they give you ideas, right? So you might have an idea that's stirring in your heart and you want to actually go ahead and implement that idea, but creating a marketing funnel and connecting with your future customers is the best way to create an offering and create value for them. So you should really start off right away, think about using marketing funnels early on. Doesn't marketing cost a lot of money? And this one is, it really all depends. It depends on your outcome, your objective, and also your timeline. So if you want to launch a movie that's going to release, let's say in May, do you think it's going to be expensive or cheap to do that? It's probably pretty expensive, right? So it all really depends on your objective and timeline. So, but you don't need to have a lot of money to start marketing right now. There are methods to do, and again, at the end of this webinar, I'm going to give you the tools to do that for absolutely free. 3 things you can do. Okay. You might think, well, I have a product already in the works, but it's not ready. When should I start? You should start today. And what do you think that is? So I can limit a participation from the audience. Anybody in chat? Anybody in the room? Why would you want to start today? Even though if your product's not ready to go. Nobody knows. That's why you're here, right? Don't know the answer, okay? Because really, if you have an idea and you can communicate that idea to the marketplace and show them that you have value, even though it's not done, they're going to be sitting there waiting for you to release it. Okay? A lot of people think that if I build it, they will come. A lot of times we build it and then we hear crickets and nobody comes. And that's where we start getting discouraged. So really, start before you're ready to release. Start marketing your ideas, trying to connect with your customers. Okay? Doesn't marketing take a lot of time and effort? Okay? Marketing simply takes consistency. It doesn't take a lot of time and effort. You could create one piece of really stellar content every week, one piece, and become a rock star in your industry. Okay? So really, it's all about content and consistency. It's not about a lot of time, money, or effort. Okay? What's right here? Why would people even buy from me? Okay? Again, this goes to those early on entrepreneurs who say, I don't have a product yet. I don't have even a business idea yet. Why would people buy from me? Well, the truth is that every person on this earth has a unique gift. They have unique experiences that can help solve problems for other people. Okay? So use those gifts, lean into those gifts, and we'll go through a case study here in a little bit to talk about somebody who did that. What if I'm not very creative? Everybody thinks marketing's got to have these great graphical skills. Okay? Well, you don't have to be great at graphic design or anything else. If you deliver the best value you possibly can, you can put that value in the back of a napkin, and people will be extremely excited to get it from you. Okay? So it's all about the value you create for that person, not necessarily most beautiful graphics in the world. Okay? Do I have to be technical to set up a funnel? There are a lot of times a lot of moving parts that exist in a marketing funnel, but it doesn't have to be paralyzing. You can set one up in as little as an hour. I'm going to show you how to do that at the end of this webinar. And finally, when we kind of have around the conversation with ChatGPT using AI in marketing, everybody thinks they can just go to ChatGPT and it'll give you everything you possibly want, and you can just copy, paste it, put it out there, and people will think you're great. Okay? It will get you down the road considerably. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but it's not going to be everything. You still need to put in the work. You still need to think about your customers and the products that you offer. Okay? So these are some of the common things that we do here. Okay? A little bit about me. My name's Erik Alburg. If you ever forget that, I'm on every slide down here. Okay? A little bit about me. So my background is in engineering. So let me get my transitions going. I do have a degree in mechanical engineering. But when I went out to my very first job straight out of college at General Motors, I instantly knew that I picked the wrong career. I was a very square peg in a round hole. But I kind of felt trapped, right? I felt trapped. I just put all this money and time into schooling. And I didn't want my parents down. I didn't want myself down. I sure did. I had to pay back those student loans. So, but really, there was a lot of activity going around. So Facebook was starting up. That showed you how old I am. Twitter was starting up. And I kind of knew that I wanted it to be in that startup ecosystem. It really called to me. So about 11 years later, I made the leap. I was terrified, and I thought I was going to die. And really, I didn't think I was just going to die. I thought I was going to lose everything, get thrown in my house, live in a street, and then freeze to death in the Michigan winters. Okay, that's what I thought was going to happen to me. But guess what? I survived. Okay? And you will too if you're thinking about going down the entrepreneur journey here. Okay? So, but I knew I had more to offer than just sitting around making a big corporation more money. Okay? So I committed myself to make it work, and I had no choice now because I just quit my job, right? And then finally, I survived, and I even kind of thrived. Okay? I've been part of numerous high-tech startups, all the way from New York to Las Vegas, all around. I've lost a lot. Anybody tells you they're the perfect batting average, are probably lying to you. But I have won some. Okay? But I learned that failure is part of the process, and the important thing is learning, growing, and getting that mentorship to help you make sure you don't make the mistakes going in the future. And so with that, as we're transitioning, I actually created a program called the Market Launch Formula. And I looked for gaps in the ecosystem, and really that gap is really going from $0 up to making revenue. Okay, so what I've done is I've created a program based around support, experiential learning, which is hands-on learning, okay, and then facilitation, which means I give you the tools and techniques to go ahead and implement those ideas on the marketplace. And again, what you're about to see here is one of those tools that we actually offer. And if you're interested in that, I'll give you an opportunity to talk to me a little bit later today. So first I'd like to introduce to one of my clients. Okay, this is Kirsten. Say hi, Kirsten. Everybody. Hi. Perfect. Wonderful. Okay. Kirsten is, I call it the Alaskan teacher. Okay. So she has spent nearly 20 years in the bush of Alaska. Okay? She's been in many unique different school districts, like in the Bering Sea on an island called Savunga. She's been up the very top of the world in the Arctic Circle teaching kids. But every time she came back to the mainland and said what she did, we would get like a million questions about what she did, what were the adventures like living up in Alaska. And she saw there was really generally interest in living in Alaska and the adventures that it did bring. So she said, hey, this is a great opportunity. I'm going to try to create a business around Alaska and interest in Alaska. Has anybody ever done like this? They had like an interest. Somebody said, hey, you should totally do it as a business, and you decided to go ahead and start doing it as a business? Okay, can we relate? Or was it just me? Okay. But what Kirsten tried to do is she's tried to do a number of things. She tried to start a newsletter. She's a teacher, so she tried to start selling lesson plans to other teachers about the Arctic. She wrote a couple of children's books, and then she tried to sell her photography online. Okay? She uses social media primarily, blogs, and other online methods to try to sell her products, but nothing seemed to stick. So she would sell a few things, make a couple $100s, and never ever stuck. Okay? She loves teaching kids in the classroom, but after 20 years, she's ready for a new chapter in her life. Okay? So why do you think that Kirsten's business didn't take off? Any guesses?
Too many things.
Too many things? Yep. Absolutely. Too many things, not a consistent message, right? Is she really providing value? Those are all the kind of questions we have. So when we look at entrepreneurs in general, the way that we think is what? We think, hey, there's an interest here, so let me go ahead and create a thing, and then what's the next step in the process?
Sell it.
Hey, our customers are going to buy it, we're going to sell it. Okay. Seems pretty straightforward, right? This is how we would love everything to work in our lives, is that we create something that people have actually shown interest in, and then we just say, put up on Facebook and say, hey, go ahead and buy it, and what happens? They don't buy it. A lot of times they don't buy it. Sometimes they will, but a lot of times they don't. Okay? And this process can continue. So Kirsten went ahead and she looked at lesson plans, right? She wrote children's books. She spent a lot of time, a lot of effort, and nothing ever stuck. Okay? So I like to think, like, right in between when we create things as an interest or a business and we sell, I call this kind of the death zone. Okay? Because in this section, you're trying to launch a business, but now what are you doing? You can start to get frustrated, aren't you? You're starting to like, oh, well, anything ever hit? I've tried this, I've tried that, nothing's hitting. We get frustrated, and eventually some people actually just give up because they don't want to do it. Okay? So this is kind of like the wrong thinking. We need to think in terms of what's going on in the customer's mind. So when you post something on social media and people see it, they might say, hey man, who is this person? They said something interesting to me. Okay? Are they ready to buy yet? Not typically, right? Okay? So perhaps we need to expand that relationship. Well, we start talking about things that bother us and relate to them. And they might start to say, well, they really know me because I have the same problems that they have. They're talking my language. Okay? Are they ready to buy? Maybe, maybe not. Okay? Then there's this other thing called, hey, could they help? If I start saying, hey, I have this problem, but this thing worked for me, they're like, wow, that's interesting. They could actually help me do something? That's really cool. And then if I say, hey, I'm going to productize that, and I have this thing you can actually purchase and I'll solve your problems for you, right? That's the next phase. So like, oh, this is something that I want. How do I get it? And then finally comes that point where we're talking about is, hey, I'm going to go ahead and make that purchase. Hey, I'm going to buy this. Here's my money. Please take my money. I'm going to tell my friends about you. And that is really how the process works. Does this kind of make sense to everybody? Okay. So why we call these things sales funnels is actually going to take this entire process and kind of flip it up on its head. Okay? We're going to start at the very bottom, or the very left side of the screen in the beginning. We're saying, hey, who are these people? This is the awareness phase. Okay? And how do you raise awareness? In marketing terms, we need to have a good marketing hook. We'll talk about a hook here in a little bit. Okay? So this is kind of like putting things on Facebook and having people like your stuff or share your stuff. You're starting to kind of get that attention that you need. Okay? The next phase that we need to go through is we need to have that consideration. And in the consideration phase, we are going to focus on value exchange. Okay, we're going to exchange one piece of value for another piece of value. We'll talk about it, what that is. I call that the permission phase. And then finally, we're going to be down in the decision phase, and that's where we extend that offer, that thing that we think that the marketplace will love, and then we deliver that value to them. Okay? So those are the three primary phases of your sales flow. Okay? The tactics and tools that we use at each phase are a little bit different. Okay? We'll kind of cover some of these as well. But the most important thing to realize about the sales funnel is that what it's doing, and all of what we want to do is we want to just go ahead and communicate value. From the awareness phase, all the way through the consideration phase, and then to the delivery phase. Okay, we're communicating value. And why that's important is because now we have this brand new tool called ChatGPT, right? The AI that can go help us build out our communication plan with our customers. Okay? So how can ChatGPT help me? Marketing funnels are based on that communicating value, which means we're speaking to the customer's problems, questions, roadblocks, and what resonates with them. And how do we figure that out? ChatGPT is actually an AI that is consuming a lot of different text, blogs, and social posts, and all these different things, and it's kind of creating this knowledge database. So in ChatGPT, which is a free tool, if you have not been there, here's the URL down here at the bottom. You can go in there, you can create a free account right now, and you can just ask the questions like, what does my customer care about? It'll actually give you some answers. Okay. Are they 100% correct all the time? No, they're not. But it gives you a good starting point. Okay. It can also help you generate content. It can help you generate blogs. It can help you generate social posts. Okay? And we can also quickly iterate and test ideas because the ChatGPT interface is iterative. So you can write a piece of content and then you can just say, hey, go back and rewrite that from the point of view of my customer. And it'll go ahead and retry that. And then you can keep on asking to refine and refine and refine. It'll give you a lot of great ideas to go ahead and try to push out to the marketplace to see if there is that response. Okay. So in this course, this webinar, we're going to go ahead and talk a lot about the prompts. Well, I don't want you sitting there writing down like a mad person every single prompt that comes on the screen. So everybody in the room, okay, everybody in the room is going to get one of these sheets. These are all QR codes, so you're allowed to download free things, free goodies, and you can see there's a bunch of them here in this webinar. So again, we're here to enable you to go ahead from this webinar and actually go ahead and implement these ideas. If you are on the line, Lori's going to go ahead here and share inside of the chat window. If you go to your files, you will see that there is going to be a new file available for you for download. You can go ahead and download that right now. We'll leave it up there again so you can take a look at that and then listen to the presentation rather than taking a crazy amount of notes. All right, so let's see if we can get my slides to advance. Cool. So again, the benefits of ChatGPT are that we can actually expand your creativity and speed to market. Okay, so the first thing is speed. Going to ChatGPT and asking it to talk about a topic will help you go faster in the marketplace. And it relieves this blank page problem. Have you ever tried to sit down and write an article, a blog article, or a social post, and it's just like you see that blank page, and you're like, what do I write about? Right? Okay? If you use ChatGPT, we'll go ahead and give you a framework to run with, and then you go ahead and modify that to your own perspective and your own opinions into that piece. So it gets you 70% there. Okay? So it actually will help you speed up your production. It'll give you insights. Again, it has read way more blog posts, books, everything else than you possibly can in a lifetime. Okay? So you're going to learn new things. Okay? Some of the outputs that I've gotten, I'm like, I didn't know about that. And then I'd say, hey, please explain this concept to me. And it'll explain that concept to you, and you're like, oh, my marketing game just went up because I went ahead and asked ChatGPT. Okay. Inspiration is another thing you can do. Again, you'll learn these different things. You'll have inspiration to say, oh, wow, I was going to go down this route, or let's say an ebook or something like that, but now I want to create this thing over here. So it can actually change the direction of your business by the products that you offer or the marketing hooks that you have. Okay. And then finally, ideas. Again, it just generates ideas for social media posts, things like that. So it's a really, really powerful tool. Again, you don't want to just use it straight out the gates and just copy paste, put it in Word, because everybody would do that. And it's my opinion that Google is going to eventually slap you down pretty hard. So they can actually detect what that looks like. But we're going to use it to our advantage. And we're going to do that in a number of different ways through our marketing funnels. The first one is to understand our customers. We're going to ask what kind of problems, questions, or roadblocks do these guys encounter. We'll use that information to create hooks. Okay, hooks are marketing hooks, something to gain their attention really quick. And we'll talk about why that's important. Producing content, blog posts, ebooks, free white papers, all that kind of stuff. We'll use the same information to create landing pages, which is part of the sales funnel or marketing funnel that we'll learn about. And then I can build entire products. So I'm a software developer. I can actually ask ChatGPT to write code for me, which is pretty cool. Okay. So very, very powerful tool, and we should use it if it's out there. So the first thing we can do is we're going to understand what our customers want. Okay. And the technique that we do that, so again, you can just go ahead there and ask, ChatGPT, hey, give me a list. Okay. What I'm here to help you do is curate the prompts that you ask ChatGPT, okay? Because that will give you the most insight. And there is some science, there is some data behind this. The first one is called the PQR squared. PQR squared simply says, ask these questions. What problems do my customers have? Okay. What do they wake up in the middle of the night worried about? Okay. So they're thinking about what kind of problems they have. They're stressed out. They want to relieve. Maybe they come into the office every morning and are stressing out because they need to write a report that's going to take them 3 hours to write that report. What if that report was already there? So we're asking those kind of questions. What kind of problems? What kind of questions do they have? They might say, how do I create a sales funnel? Maybe that's a burning question that you have in your world, and that's why you're here today. Ask those questions. And then what kind of roadblocks do they have? Okay, these are all barriers, right? These are all things that stop people from taking action. It could be like a not supportive spouse. It could be like, I don't have time. I have 10 different kids. I'm working 3 jobs. Just start to think about your ideal customer, what you want to solve a problem for, and talk about what's causing them not to take action. And what are the roadblocks? And the other R, so this is the PQR, there's one more R called the results. Where do they want to be? Okay, what is their ideal outcome? Again, it could be to live an entrepreneur life, full of ease, work wherever you want to. It could be, again, coming into the office and having a report sitting on my desk or in my email box, ready to go, versus spending 3 hours creating that. Okay? So what we want to do as marketers, we want to take and understand our customers from these 3 standpoints: questions, problems, roadblocks. Understand what the results they're trying to get, and then build that bridge. Okay? And how do we build that bridge? That is our personal intellectual property and the offerings that we give to the marketplace. Okay? We'll talk about it here in a second as well. Okay? All right, so let's go back to ChatGPT prompts. What can we ask ChatGPT to help us understand that? So I want you to start to think in these different categories. Start to ask ChatGPT, list the top 10 problems of my customers. Okay. And so give you a list. Again, it's up to you to understand that list. You can't just use it necessarily straight out the gate, but it will give you some inspiration as well. So list the top 10 problems. What problems might my customers be thinking about when trying to do this? Questions say it could be like list top 10 questions when thinking about the problem or the question or the roadblock. These are all just starting points. So feel free to get a little bit creative when asking these questions, but fill in those blanks. See how ChatGPT responds, and then you can go ahead there and ask a follow-up question. Remember, it's iterative, so you can go ahead and I might give you 10 and say, well, tell me about perhaps this other area. What wasn't in the output? Tell me a little more about that. You can kind of consistently drill down, and you can get information. Okay. Roadblocks. What roadblocks might stop my customer from accomplishing the result? Okay. So just feel free to plug those back and forth. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to get insight. Okay. So let's go back to Kirsten, the Alaskan teacher. Okay. Oops. Okay, so what she asked ChatGPT was these questions. Teachers, okay? Teachers, why are they not interested in Arctic? You know, what do they know about what do they not like about their jobs? Okay, so she asked those questions, and these are only a few of the outcomes that she picked out as being important, because she is also a teacher and she can resonate with these. One of the things is they are bored and they want to venture. Another one is they don't have a lot of money, time, or resources. Okay, they want to be seen as interesting and knowledgeable in their field. Okay, these are all different problems that they are encountering on a day-to-day basis when they think about their jobs. The question is, how do I get adventures paid for? Okay, how do I get this Arctic adventure kind of idea paid for? Where can I go that's safe? How can I connect my classroom to the world? Okay, these are some of the questions. Roadblocks. I don't have a lot of time or resources. I don't know where to begin. I don't have the support of my school system. Okay? And then the result is they want to have an exciting life. I want to be seen as an expert, and I want to share my adventures with the classroom and the community. Okay? So what Kirsten did is she got a list of all these different problems, questions, roadblocks, results, and honed in on them based on her experience where she thought she could provide value. So if I go ahead here and summarize this and talk about what we can offer these teachers, I kind of summarize these. They're bored, they want an adventure. How do I get advertising paid for or adventure paid for? It's supported by the school. I don't know where to begin. I want to share with my classroom. Now let's go back to remember what Kirsten offered this community before. Her current offerings was a newsletter about Arctic living. How does that offering strike these different things that we've identified by the customer? Does it touch one, two, none? What do you guys think? Not very well. Not very well, right? Okay. Again, if you're online, you want to just chat something in the chat window, go for it. It doesn't really hit those things, right? What about selling photography? Will that help them create more adventure in their life? Probably not, right? Will be helping support by the school, will know where to begin. Like, it doesn't really hit those things. Same thing about writing and selling children's books, right? All these offerings that she thought would help, like, scratch that itch of these teachers in Arctic living, really were falling flat. So what we did, again, we kind of worked with Kirsten. We talked a little bit about how we can scratch these itches, how we can go ahead and accommodate offerings to these teachers. And she says, you know what, I've lived up there, I know the community well, I have a lot of great connections with scientists and adventurers, all that kind of stuff. I can actually go ahead and create a tour, eco-tour. Okay? So we created a new offering. We said, hey, why don't we go ahead and create trips for Alaska for teachers? Does that hit some of these points up here? Okay. Well, if we create an eco-learning adventure, not just a random sightseeing trip, it can count towards professional development. Would that hit some of these points, right? And then if it's all inclusive, nobody has to worry about anything, and then it becomes very safe, okay? So you kind of see how these offerings kind of actually fit well into her customer's profile. So we're going to kind of fast forward to the end, and we'll kind of talk about the process of getting there, but we went ahead and did this, and we communicated this out into the marketplace. And where Kirsten struggled before to make any money, she closed over $60,000 in that first year in revenue. Just shows you that if you can understand your customer really well, you can create offerings that will touch those customers, and you have a better chance of generating revenue. Make sense? All right. Free gift time. Again, those folks on the line will go ahead and get a free gift called Packaging Your Personal Experience. You will also get that when you pick up a spreadsheet if you're in the room. Okay? All right, take a look at that. It'll help you with some great thought starters about what you can do to accelerate your offerings. All right, so let's go back to our funnel here. Okay, now we have a good offering. Kirsten has a good offering. How are we going to go ahead there and we're going to create awareness? Okay, so you create awareness through blog posts, social media posts. These are all the common tools you've probably read about in every single blog out there about marketing, right? Okay. And we're talking about awareness. We want to get awareness. But awareness, I like to use the word attention. Okay? How do you get attention? And nowadays, with all the messages going out there, you have about 3 seconds to grab somebody's attention. Okay? Just to get their attention, to have them stop scrolling in that feed enough to look at you. Okay? Right? And that is because there's over 60 billion messages shared across all social media platforms every single day. So now you need to figure out how to stand out. Okay? One of the best ways to do that, to capture attention, is to go ahead and take something that they know and change it a little bit of a way where they're like, huh? I was expecting something different, but you changed it a little bit. What's going on? Something's not quite right. Okay? And we call these the hooks. Okay? So what I want you to think about is how you can use common phrases, sayings, speeches, poems, things that people would readily know, to go ahead and use those as your source of inspiration. So like a well-known quote might be, not all those who wander are lost. Punchline could be like, to get to the other side, while chicken across the road, get to the other side. Slogans, finger licking good. Okay. Song lyrics, pour some sugar on me. That's because, does anybody actually know that song? Okay, perfect, I'm not that old. Famous speeches, I'm not a crook. Okay. Or slangs or idioms like, don't worry, be happy. Okay? All those are things that will resonate with a lot of people. Okay? They'll look at those and they're like, oh, I know what that is, that's cool. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and change that up a little bit. Okay? And that is where ChatGPT comes back into play. Okay? So what I can say is I can say, create a marketing hook for my ideal customers, which in this case was teachers for Kirsten, who want to achieve a result, but face the problem of a roadblock. So it's going to give the output typically is a paragraph or two about that problem, that customer, those kind of things. Again, it's iterative. So then the very next sentence I say is, write 10 taglines based off of well-known quotes for this marketing hook. So now it's going to go back up to the top, look what it wrote, and say, okay, well, I'm going to go ahead here and I'm going to list out these different things. And it's going to change them in unique ways. And they're like, some are really good and some are really, really bad. Okay? But again, it's up to you to figure out what's going on. Then you can say, write 10 taglines based off American slangs based on the marketing hook. And you can keep on doing that for every single source of inspiration or common saying that exists out there. Okay? So that is what we're going to get. Let me show you. Oh, next slide. So what do you want to do with those marketing hooks? You need to test them. Okay? Some are going to go really well, some are going to go really flat. But you need to go ahead there and socialize them. You're trying to get that attention. You want somebody to say, what's going on? That's unusual. Okay? So feel free to throw that on Facebook, throw it on Twitter, go ahead there and put it on your Instagram, whatever you might do. You can even have ChatGPT write you social media posts based on that hook that you just created. Okay? So it's a very, very fast way of doing it. But we're going to go ahead there and push that out there and just see what resonates. Okay? See what resonates. Again, we want to get attention. And then once we have that attention, we're going to go ahead and get permission. Okay? So let's go back to Kirsten. Okay? So going through the process with Kirsten, talking about her experiences, we said, okay, go ahead, ChatGPT, give us some great hooks. We started off with the ones in reds that did not work well. They went flat. The ones in the greens actually did well. You can kind of see the inspiration, right? The first one, just experience it. The thrill of the Arctic adventure will wait. What's that slogan off of? Just do it, right? Nike, right? The ultimate Arctic adventure machine, explore the wilderness in style. That's off of BMW's slogan, right? Okay. Adventure pleasing good, the Arctic awaits you. That's off of that finger looking good one, right? KFC. Okay. And we keep on going through and we are testing them. We're seeing which ones work, which ones don't, right? We want people to stop and give us attention. Okay, that could be in the form of a like, it could be in the form of a share, whatever that might be, a comment. You'll start to see what has and starts to resonate with your customers. So the ones in the green are the ones that started working well. Okay, but what we don't want to do is we don't want to have just likes or comments or shares. We actually want to get into a place where we can communicate with them in the next phase, which is called the consideration phase. Okay. So up here now we're using all these hooks. We're using the techniques, PQR squared. We're creating those hooks. We're testing them out there. Okay, we haven't really done anything. We're just kind of like getting people talking at this point in time. The next thing we want to do is we want to have consideration. And consideration is value exchange, or what I call permission. It's the permission to go ahead and contact them directly. So what do you think we want from these folks now? We want their email address, right? Okay, we want to be able to connect with them directly. Why do we want to do that? The reason is that if you have a Facebook page and somebody likes your page, and the very next day you go ahead and post another post on that page, what percentage, do you have any idea, of your audience will actually see the next post? About 2 to 4%. Okay. So if you have 100 people on your Facebook page and you post the next post, you might see 2 or 4 people might see that in your feed itself. Okay. So what we don't want to do is we don't want to keep on creating content and then only have 2 people see out of 100. If I have 100 people on my email list, I go ahead and I send that directly to them, you think more or less we're going to open that up and see that message? More, right? So that what we want to do is we want to go ahead and create that permission or get that permission. So the very basics that we need to get that permission is called the squeeze page or the opt-in funnel. Okay? And what that consists of is an ethical bribe, right? We need to give them something in order to get their email address. Okay, this could be a thing like a white paper, a free report, it could be an email series, a cheat sheet, a video course, whatever you want to make. Okay? We then need to have this idea of a squeeze page, which is a very simple, basic landing page with a hook. Okay, so whatever we use on social media, we're going to bring that hook right over onto that squeeze page, so there's continuity between those two. We'll get into that here in a little bit. Okay? But we want to go ahead and talk to them in their language, and we'll talk about that here in a moment. We also need to have a form that collects email addresses. Okay? And once they fill in that email address and they hit submit on that form, we're going to go ahead and send them to a thank you page, which will tell them how they can engage with us further. And we're also going to send them a welcome email. Okay? These are the very basics that we need to have a funnel in that consideration phase, called squeeze page. Okay? And again, we're going to build one of these here at the end of the webinar, so stay tuned for that. Okay, so what's wonderful about ChatGPT, it helps us build content. So here's our ethical bribe. We use ChatGPT, we know who our customers are, we know what problems they have, what questions they have, what roadblocks they might have, and what results they might have. Okay? What we can do is we can simply ask ChatGPT to go ahead and create me a white paper based on what I see. Create me an outline on what I see. Okay? And it'll actually go ahead and do that. Okay? So here is one of the ethical bribes that I've created, and a lot of people on the webinar right now actually got one of these, came into my funnel, where then I went ahead and promoted this webinar. Okay. So it's called hook, line, and sinker, right? Those are the nuance. Remember the marketing hooks we talked about? Hook, line, and sinker. Well, I think it's about fishing. Well, no, it's not about fishing. It's actually a cheat sheet about ChatGPT prompts, okay, for marketing. Okay. So I grabbed their attention. They're like, oh, well, what's this? It's different. And they came to my landing page and then I signed up. Okay? So really, the prompts we can go ahead and use are things like using the hook, line, and sinker, in this case. Write out an outline for topics that could help my customer accomplish a result. I'll go ahead there and give you a number of bullet points, and then you can take those bullet points and you can expand upon them and say, use this bullet point to write 3 or 4 paragraphs about this particular topic. It'll go ahead and do that. Again, it's up to you to go ahead and curate it, make sure it makes sense, because this is a robot writing things for you. You don't want to like stake your entire personal brand on this, but go ahead and do it. But you can keep on using these prompts to go ahead and get you something in the ballpark, edit it, and then you can go ahead and create a PDF. So simply throw it to Microsoft Word or what's Google's Word version?
Docs.
Google Docs. Hit the PDF, and you're good. Like, that's how quick it can happen. Okay? Okay. All right. So effective landing page copy. So now we have our free gift, our ethical bribe. Now we need to create that squeeze page. We need to create that form. Again, I'm going to show you how to do this, but I want just to pay attention is what we're doing. So the squeeze page, I already mentioned it. The very top headline should be the exact same hook that you went ahead and got them into the funnel with. They want to see that continuity. Okay? So we're going to make sure that happens. We're going to join the conversation in their head and not in our heads. Okay? That is talking about the problems, the questions, the roadblocks, and results. That's what they're thinking. I don't want to take them down the path of what I'm thinking. Okay? Talk to them about that. Then we need to speak their language. And I'll explain this in the next slide. Not everybody speaks the same. Not everybody hears the same. Okay? I could say something, I'm an engineer, so I could say something super logical. And my sister would be like, what are you talking about? Right? Okay? Makes sense to me though. Okay, so we're going to learn how to speak their language. And then we're going to ask them to take action. In this case, fill out the form, get the free gift. Okay. So how do we go ahead and connect with 90% of the people who come to our funnel? Right? Because we don't know who they are. We posted some social media, we have an idea of who the customers are, but we don't know their background. We don't know what kind of communicators they are. So we're going to go ahead and try to connect with 90 of them by using this thing called PCM. Okay? Process Communication Model. And it's the idea around that we are all born as different types of communicators. Some are very logical, some are very emotional, some people talk about value, some people are jokesters. Okay? We want to connect with all of them. Okay? So those are the 4 ones. There's actually like, I think 6 or 8. But logic, values, emotion, and humor are primarily ways that people connect. I think logic gets about 30% of people are logical-based thinkers or communicators. I think 20% are value, and I think emotional, I think is actually 35%. Don't quote me, look it up on ChatGPT. Okay, could be wrong. Okay? So what we want to do is we want to actually invoke all these things into our copy. Okay? So let's say if I go into a landing page, and somebody wants to put my email address in there, and it's all about this cool car. Right? I could, like as a logical person, I could just keep writing about logical things. I could talk about specs. I can talk about like all these things that make sense in my world, but somebody who thinks in a different way might not resonate. Okay? So I'm going to use all of them. So on the logic standpoint, I'm going to go ahead here and say, hey, think of a car. It gets 50 miles per gallon, right? Which is better than anything in its class. That lends well to the logical thinker. What do we have here? Values. Okay, we believe that this car has more value to our customers in regard to what you're going to pay for. So otherwise, it's less expensive. That's going to somebody go, oh, well, it's a great car and it's less expensive. And I'm kind of building on that persona. We have emotion. Emotion says, hey, it looks good, it looks nice, and you're going to be so comfortable driving that. Okay? That taps into that emotional feel. And then the humor, simply, all your friends are finally going to want to hang out with you because this car is awesome. Okay? If you take all those elements and combine them into one landing page, you're going to be speaking to 90% of all the people who come to that landing page, and you have the best opportunity to get that permission. Okay, so how do you do that? ChatGPT prompts. Using the hook, whatever that hook, line, and sinker, whatever that might be for you. Write a brief description of the benefits for my ethical bribe in terms of logic, values, emotions, and humor. Okay? And a lot of times I get like many different bullet points, right, when I ask this question. Okay? So then I can rewrite logic, value, humor to include anything from my perspective. So again, this is the computer writing things for you. You need to put your own spin on it. You have to put your own personality into it. Go ahead and just ask it to rewrite based on what you think is important. Okay. Then, once I have those different bullet points, typically it's all bullet points, I'll ask them to combine those different points into one cohesive statement. Okay. I'll ask them to create bullet points based on that statement. Okay. And then I'll ask them to write a call to action based on that statement to download my ethical bribe. Okay? And all these things will get you 70% there when it comes to creating a landing page that will actually convert. Now, when I did not use this technique, my landing pages were converting around 36%, which is really good, right? 36%? It's not too bad. When I started using PCM in my landing pages, I'm now at 65%. It makes a big difference. Okay? So let's look at Kirsten here. Kirsten used ChatGPT to go ahead and ask questions and create these different statements. So she did use PCM. She said, find me something logical, emotion-based, value-based, humorous. Okay? And this is what I came up with. And I'm going to use my robot voice here because this is how I imagine ChatGPT sounds like. Personal development. As an educator, you can fulfill the professional development requirements while experiencing the Arctic's unique landscape. Right? Same thing, hands-on learning. Our experienced team of educators and Arctic specialists provide you hands-on learning experience that will be both unforgettable and educational. Okay, does that sound emotional, value-driven, or does that sound more logical? Kind of sounds logical, right? So then we asked ChatGPT to go ahead and insert logic, humor, value, and emotion. And this is the result we get. Okay, I'm going to kind of step in here. So the first one that kind of mirrored across, we're talking about the same topic here. Fulfill your professional development requirements while experiencing the beauty of the Arctic. This eco tour is a perfect way to tick off those boxes while satisfying your inner explorer. Does that kind of feel a bit nicer? Okay, it's not so in your face, it's more about that logic, but it's also about your inner explorer. It's touching that value, it's touching that emotion, right? Same thing, hands-on learning experience, educators and Arctic specialists is invaluable. Use that value word. Okay. You'll gain knowledge that you will impact not only yourself, but also your students, right? Again, it's that niceness to it. It's talking about all those value and what you can bring and emotional stuff like that. So, once again, went from 36% to 65% using just this technique. All right, same thing. We can do the exact same thing with the thank you page, right? And the welcome email. Okay? Now these people have downloaded, right? They put their email address in. Now they're going ahead and get to the next phase. So we say using hook, right? Hey, thank you. Introduction to someone who signed up for the free ethical gift. Okay? Write 5 bullet points using logic, emotion, humor, and value around the benefits and list the customer benefits by downloading the ethical gift. Okay? And keep on iterating around that until you find something that's really, really powerful. Okay? Again, it all comes down to testing. We hit the thing right at the ballpark every single time the first time? No. Okay? But it's going to get you 70% there. Okay? So let's talk about what happened to Kirsten. So again, she went from 0 to 60,000. She used these different techniques. And where does she stand today? Okay? So she continues using new hooks or testing new hooks. Why? Because hooks sometimes, oftentimes, will get old. People become immune to your message, and you need to go ahead and change that message from time to time. And plus, you also don't know if that message is the most optimal. Okay? So maybe if you change the message a little bit more, you'll get a better response. Okay? She went from 0 people on her list up to 1,200 teachers who are eager to hear from her. She has open rates of 60 to 70% of all of her emails that she sends out. People are not only looking for her message, trying to understand what it looks like. And she's excited to share firsthand with her new friends, but has seen more opportunities that pop up. And that's the beautiful thing about marketing funnels is even if you don't have a business, the feedback that you get in the process of doing a marketing funnel will help you create ideas and offers that your customers are telling you they want to have. Okay? So forgive the analogy here, icebergs, right? That first offer that she had, even though it was very lucrative for her, is not the only thing that she has. Okay? So what she's doing right now is she's creating courses around the idea of how to go ahead and get school systems to pay for their trips, using grants, things like that. So she's actually creating a course around that, which speaks to a larger audience of those people who still want to do this, but they don't have the means or the funds to do that. Okay? So she's constantly looking for new opportunities going forward. Okay? So that is what a marketing funnel, again, the 3 different phases are awareness, consideration, decision. Okay? And we want to go from that attention to exchanging the value to presenting the offer. Okay. All right. Well, I open it for questions just yet. Okay. Who wants to build a funnel? Who wants to have the means to leave here and have a funnel ready to go? Okay. Awesome. All right, so I'm going to switch spots. You people online, stay tight. I'm going to do a little bit of trickery here. And we're going to talk about what I'm going to call the 45-minute funnel. Actually, before we get going there, we'll do this. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to create this thing called the 45-minute funnel. Again, back to those objections earlier on, it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of effort, I don't have to be creative, all that stuff. I'm going to show you really quick on how to do that. Okay? So what we're going to do is I'm going to give you the means to create this page right here. Okay? For free, it will cost you nothing but 45 minutes. Okay? Why do this? Okay? Right? Why do we not? So one thing is, if you were to create this out in the regular space, you have to spend hours learning how these different things work. Anybody heard of ClickFunnels before? Kartra, all that kind of stuff. These are all professional funnel builders that you can actually go ahead and create. And they're actually quite expensive. Okay? I pay $199 per month for Kartra. I think ClickFunnels is $299, $300, something like that. But when you're first starting off and you want to build your funnel, we don't want to have to spend the time or the money to go ahead and do that. Okay. You don't have to hire a web designer or a web developer. Okay. I've had a few different clients come in and say, I just spent $5,000 on my website. I'm like, God darn, you should call me up. I would have done it for 10, right? Okay. So really, it can be very expensive, especially on what you want to do, and then you also can't iterate as fast as what you're about to see. Okay. You also have to pay for an autoresponder. Autoresponder is what manages your emails for you. It will give you forms, it will give you welcome emails, drip campaigns, all that kind of stuff. In the very beginning, we were testing out ideas. We don't want to go ahead and use that. We're going to use a tool that I think maybe you might have heard of. It's called Gmail. Have you ever heard of Gmail before? Yeah. We're going to use Gmail as our autoresponder. I'll show you how to do that. Yeah. And we don't need to spend hours, days, weeks creating different versions of testing. So it's, again, we don't know what's going to hit. We don't know what marketing hook is going to hit. And we want to have continuity between our marketing hooks and our landing pages. So if you have this complex piece of software where you have to clone something, reset up forms, it's going to take a really long time. Okay? So in their system, 45 minutes for the first one, probably 3 minutes for every other variation that you want to create. I'll show you how to do that. Okay? And the best part is you don't have to wait to launch. You can do this directly after this webinar if you want to. All right. So the breakdown, how we're going to do this. We are going to use ChatGPT to create an ethical bribe, the hooks, and the bullet points. I put this at about 20 minutes. Okay. Just think back in the day before AI. How long would that probably take you? Hours, days, weeks even, to kind of create something like that? We can create it really fast. Okay? Use that iterative process to create these things. Again, this is our first stab at our market. Okay? It doesn't have to be perfect. We just want to see what resonates with people. Okay? We can create the ebook cover and upload 10 minutes. We're going to use things like Canva, free graphical assets that are out there. Like there's a lot of free stuff online that you can actually use. We're going to create Canva, and once again, if you pick up one of these, or if you're online, we'll share that with you in a little bit. There's an entire guide on how to do that in Canva. Okay. We're going to copy a spreadsheet that I've created called the autoresponder. You're just go ahead there and set up in your own account, and you're ready to go. 2 minutes, you're ready to collect emails. We are going to use ChatGPT to create a welcome email. 10 minutes. Again, these content pieces I put a little more time into because I wanted to resonate with people. I wanted to get good response. Okay. If you really just wanted to copy and paste everything out of ChatGPT, it'd probably take you about 2 minutes. Okay. Well, again, put that effort in there. You have something unique that's different than anybody else. So I really encourage you to use ChatGPT as a tool to start out, but not the entire thing. Straight out of the box. We're then going to upload a configuration file, which takes about 3 minutes, and that makes no sense to you right now, but it will here in a minute. Okay. And then we're gonna go ahead. So really, again, here is the free gift that I created. I created the cover in Canva. I used a free ebook generator to create that cool little spine thing you see over here. And then the contents came from ChatGPT, obviously edited. Okay. So the breakdown, and that's exactly what I talked about here. Use ChatGPT, you can use Google Sheets, you can use Google Docs, PDF it. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, right? Again, if you provide really good value, your customers are not going to care if it's on the back of a napkin. Okay? So put some time in there. The content is crucial. Create the graphic using a free resource that I just talked about, and create that generation. The contact form, again, is the autoresponder thing I'm going to show you here in a minute. We just need to enable some macros. Essentially, the macros say I can delete everything in your Gmail account, but don't worry, we won't. Okay. Publish and copy a URL from that system, and then we're going to create a draft email inside of our email box. That macro is going to go ahead and there and send it out on your behalf, completely personalized to the person who signed up for your list. Okay. And then the squeeze page. I've created a configuration file that you just need to update. I'm going to upload that configuration, and you're done. So I just explained it to you in about 10 minutes. I'm going to go ahead here and share that with you, and of course, share everywhere. All right. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and switch sides for everybody here, and let's go here and exit out. All right, so what we're going to do, and let me know if you cannot hear me, I'll try to scream a little bit louder, is we are going to be able to create this guy here. This is the landing page. There's a 4-minute ebook cover. All this is completely customizable to you starting today. So as soon as you put in your email address, you'll get a thank you page. I will get an email if I put my own email address in, and it's quite really that simple. Okay? So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to go ahead and set up a Google Sheet. Okay? So in the handout that I'm going to give to you guys, and again, if you're online, we're going to share that document here in a little bit. I just want you to pay attention. We're going to go ahead here and take this, and we're just going to simply make a copy. Okay, so it's going to give you a little error and a warning that says that there are macros attached, which there are. Okay, and it just simply looks like this. It's got a date, it's got a name, it's got an email address. It's a very, very, very simple form to collect email addresses. From there, we're going to go up to extensions and click on app scripts. Again, this is all spelled out in the free gift that we'll be giving you. And what we're going to do is we're going to just update your name, which is right here. Okay, so this could be like Joe Dirt. Again, a reference to what Joe did. And then I'm going to have a draft email subject. Okay, so this is going to be a subject line, which is going to live over here. Right here. So here's your copy of hook, line, and sinker, for example. If I come back to here, here is your copy of hook, line, and sinker. Okay. So we're just going to create that email. If I go into it, all right, you'll just see it's just blank. It's got a subject to it. It's got some copy in it. It says, here's your copy of hook, line, and sinker. I put a couple of squirrely brackets. It says name. That name will be replaced by anybody who signs up to your list. Okay, if they put their name in there, that's what their name will be. Okay? So we're going to have that all configured, right in here. Hook, line, and sinker. Joe Dirt. Once I have that, I'm going to click on run. It's going to run this init setup, and I'm going to ask for those permissions. Okay. Well, it takes a minute. We're going to go ahead and review those permissions. Okay, I'm just going to log in. You might get an error before this page that says, hey, we don't know this person. You just go ahead and say accept anyways. Like I say, the permissions look a little scary, but there's nothing in here to hurt you. I promise I'm not going to steal your information. So once we have that done, okay, the last thing we have to do is we have to go ahead here and we're going to deploy it. Okay, and we can see here, I'm going to execute as me, and anybody has access here. I'm just going to call this my opt-in funnel. And I'm going to hit deploy. And what that does, it just makes it available for anybody out on the interweb. Okay. So now I have that. So what I'm going to leave this open. This URL is what we're going to need to have. So I'm going to copy that at some point. Might have to come back. Okay. And that is what I need. So I'm going to actually take my form. I'm going to submit it against that particular email, or that particular, this particular script, and it's going to go ahead and do all that magical stuff for me. The next thing I'm going to have is essentially this template. So in the ebook that you're about to get, there'll be this messy looking thing that has a lot of information that simply just maps back to here. One's called call to action. You can change your call to action. One's called headline, one's called hook, those kind of things. Very, very straightforward. For the images, you can just upload to any free online image hosting service. Again, in the book, you'll find some. You just grab those URLs and you bring them back in here, and it will show automatically. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this JSON and we're going to put it into this particular object. So what it is essentially is a free place to store that information. Okay. Again, it's called endpoint.io. It's completely free. It won't cost you a thing. You just go ahead here and paste in that thing, format it, and you can see that we have things like download cheat sheet today. Okay, that is up here. Download cheat sheet today. Okay, those are all those things that we're going to go ahead and change. So you can feel free to change all this stuff. Okay, so if I say not today, but I want to say now, for example, and I hit save. Hopefully if I'm linked up correctly, I hit refresh, it goes into now. It's a very, very, very fast way to iterate across different landing pages and hooks. Okay. The one thing I do need to change in here to make this sheet work is down here, this web URL. So I'm going to go ahead here and copy this guy. And I come down here to that document, and at the very bottom, if I can get there, you'll see there's a submission URL here. Go ahead here and hit paste into that one. I'm going to hit save, and then just like that, I am now hooked up when I hit refresh. Okay. Anything in here will actually go out. So I'm going to say Eric. I'm just going to edit my email address, this guy here, and I'm going to download that free gift. It's a live demo because you're always a little scared about live demos. Cheat sheet's on its way. And inside of there goes your name and your email addresses. Okay. So you can actually create as many of these sheets as you want. This might be my dog lovers. Okay, maybe that's my dog lovers list. And everybody who's in that list loves dogs. So I can go ahead there and then email everybody in that list more and more content to see where they engage with. Okay? You can create another one called cat lovers. You can create another one called fish lovers. You guys get the point. You can constantly make this. If you want to go ahead and create new versions of this guy right here, I'm going to go back here. I think it's under here. Yeah, documents. You just go ahead there and you clone it. Like this is just one document called hook, line, and sinker, and I actually think the button was in here. So I clone this one, and I just say this is my dog lovers. Right? I save it, it is saved. If I want to get to that page, I'm just going to make a quick check here. I'm just going to say done. Right, so I'm going to hit save here. Now what makes all this work is this ID right here. So if I go ahead and click on that, and I go to a new tab and I type in that URL, that thing, landing dot fast feedbacker.com. That is how quick you can create many different versions of this email responder. Okay. Pretty cool? All right.
And then this document would be linked from a Facebook post to there.
Absolutely. Put it everywhere, share it everywhere. Go ahead and get the feedback. Look who's clicking, look who's signing up. You can get a lot of great feedback really quick.
And then the end colon company is essentially your hosting, so it's their domain of some capacity.
No, the fast feedback is mine.
Okay.
So I will definitely. Awesome. All right. So is it really that simple? Like I just gave you a tool. Again, our program, Market Launch Formula, is all about giving you the knowledge and giving you the tools to execute quickly. Okay? Is it really that simple though? There are a lot of things that are simple in this world, but they're not necessarily easy, right? Anybody ever do a triathlon? How many steps are there in a triathlon? 3, right? How easy is the triathlon to run? Maybe not so easy, right? Okay. Right? So if you want to win that Ironman, if you want to win that triathlon, like you're really serious about it, right? You have to follow a good training program, right? You have to know when to train, when to peak, how many miles to put in, that kind of thing. Okay? You need to feed your body, you need to feed your mind. If you eat jelly beans all day long, you're not going to be successful. Right? If you are not ready to embrace the pain of a triathlon, you're not going to be successful. Okay? You need to put in the miles, you need to put in the work to do this. I mean, so you need to actually get out there. And we need to have a knowledgeable coach. Okay? Those are the same kind of things that will also happen in entrepreneurship. Right? Okay? And that's why we kind of created this market launch formula. So as part of this webinar, I'm not going to sell anything, I promise you, but I do want to offer up and extend a free personalized call. If you want to talk about where you are in your journey, what kind of resources that you have, or what your results are, because I want to know what your problems are, I want to know what your questions are, I want to know what your roadblocks are, and where you want to be. So if you want to go ahead and do that, I've opened up just for this community the next 4 or 5 days to meet with each and every single one of you, if you want to. Okay. This will be on the handout as well. If you are online, you can go ahead and take a screenshot of this. I will send out also an email after this, exactly where to get these links as well. Would you mind also sharing we're also going to share in the chat the 45-minute funnel. Okay, so the 45-minute funnel is now on the ebook. Will be in the download section of the chat, so you can go ahead and download it as well. Again, we have copies for you folks in the room. Okay. All right. If you are a QR person, which everybody seems to be after COVID, here is the QR code for the 45-minute funnel that you can download right now if you want to take out your phones and scan those. Okay. All right. So with that, that's the end of my presentation. I'd like to open up the floor for questions. If you do have questions on the line, go ahead and throw them in the Q&A section, and we'll try to address your questions. Thank you. Jordan.
What part of ChatGPT data should we be more wary of versus less wary of?
So the question is, what part of ChatGPT's data we should be wary of? All of it. But it does get you, like I say, 70% there. So I think all the books, all the knowledge, all the world history events go up to 2021. Okay, so anything past that is a question mark on the world events. You're not going to get really any good straight answers. ChatGPT 4 just came out, which is amazing. You guys should check that out. Videos online, like they're everywhere. Somebody will share a video online, you'll figure out what that is. But overall, think about ChatGPT or any AI that helps you as a starting point, as a tool. If that is your entire business, ChatGPT, you're going to lose. You need to use it as a tool. So any kind of output that I read, some of it I will say, that's not right. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Because it's the AI trying to interpret and spit back human language. Any other questions?
Do you see the ethical bribe working just as well for physical products? I'm just kind of trying to think what would work for my specific customers, and I can ask, obviously, for some ideas, but
Yeah.
trying to get them to download when I'm selling kids'
Yep.
furniture, for example.
Yep. So the question is, do we see ethical bribes being effective for physical products?
Besides, like, a discount code.
Besides a discount code? Absolutely. So the answer is yes. So when you look at your offerings, you need to think about what's the high tier, what's the middle tier, and what's a low tier in context to what the real problem is, what the real questions are, what the real roadblocks are, and what the real goals they want to have. So you have children's furniture, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, so what kind of problems or questions do you think parents have around children's furniture?
Yeah, safety, Montessori
Safety.
activities.
Okay,
kind of thing.
safety, disease, all that kind of stuff. So what you could do for an ethical bribe is you could talk about how to keep your children safe, you know, in your home. Like, that could be an ethical bribe. I mean, it's lame, I know, I just spit it out,
Yeah.
right? But talk about the problem. Like, okay, if safety is an issue, let's talk about safety. Like, and then present your ideas around safety, and then go, oh, by the way, I have the safest furniture on the market. And then drive those people. Because what you want to do is, again, is to capture their email address, so you can directly market to them whenever you want, and go from there. So it's a process.
Is there a spamming issue relative to email? And does the fact they put their email in kind of get around that?
A spamming issue?
Reading a federal law that
Consent.
says, I'm sorry?
Yeah. Again, they're signed up to interact with you. There is can spam law. So the question was, is there an ethical issue or a legal issue around using your Gmail for sending things out? Yeah, absolutely. So part of again in my program, I just gave you something really quick to go off of. If somebody says don't email anymore, go to spreadsheet, delete that, and you're good. And a lot of the emails currently that you're being collected, you don't have, because you're not part of the bigger program, you don't have the ability to create that autoresponder we'll send out every so often. There are can spam things that we can do from the same spreadsheet to remove them. So put a link essentially in the email and then remove them if they click on that link. So absolutely, you need to take that serious. If you have somebody's email address or phone numbers and they didn't give you permission to do it, you're in a little trouble. If they tell you to stop doing it, you keep doing it, you're in a lot of trouble. You definitely need to keep that in mind. Sir?
Do you have information on taking it from them, the thank you email, through the process, like a series of emails, instead of just to the generic newsletter?
Absolutely. Like, so the question is, we'd rephrase this. Do you have any information around using the autoresponder, the email marketing funnel, what we call that, to go ahead and engage your customer? Is that what you were asking?
Yeah, specific to like the lead magnet, right? So it's not like the lead magnet is targeted at one thing. Your newsletter might be a little bit more general.
Yep.
So basically, we want to take them from this lead magnet that's targeting one thing
Yep.
through the process to being a customer without just putting it in this general newsletter.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So, like I said, you saw me create two different spreadsheets: dog lovers, cat lovers. What you need to do as a marketer, you need to figure out how do I transition them up my value ladder to purchase the thing that I want to sell. So, the safety issue with the furniture. We start off with safety. We start talking about the items, so they're interested in safety, right? That's what they care about. They want to keep their kids safe. How do you get them to purchase a bed? Is your ability to communicate value all across the way in incremental steps. Okay, so that really comes up to, like, again, that's kind of what we coach around, is to talk about how we do that. So One way is to first get their email address, which is the most crucial thing you can do. Do it. But then how you get them to go up your value ladder. So you might have, this one's free. I'm gonna give you like a free, I probably could have sold that autoresponder for $10 and somebody probably buy it, and then I could sell them something that's worth $30, $100, and $1,000. So you gotta really kind of think about what your value ladder is and where you wanna take them, that journey. But it is person by person dependent, and that's kind of why through this QR code to meet with me, you can probably talk a little bit more specifically about that. Any questions online? Nobody online wants to put a question? All right, well, if you guys have any questions, again, book some time with me. I am here for mentor hours.
There's a sign-up sheet over here.
There's a sign-up sheet over there. So I will be, I am a software person, I am an apps person, so if you have software apps you want to have built, want to talk about that as well, please feel free to sign up. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thanks, guys. All right, so I only got 16 of these. If you guys want one, grab one. I'm just gonna.
I can make copies too.
Yep, Amanda can make you a copy.
Can I grab one of those?